What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Save and Sip. Trevor Alexander here, where we bring you financial sense in a social way. A really special episode, special day for real. I have my brother, my guy, Akiem Jones here with me today, and we have a nice conversation where we're going to be discussing financial literacy at a 30,000 foot view. Akiem is a very smart guy. He works as a Senior Audit Manager and also as a CFA. He has his own platform, and he's not new to the financial literacy game. He's been in the game for 7-8 years, just giving out gems. He has his own platform. Has helped me and many other people I know in various ways. So I'm gonna pick Akiem's mind. We're gonna be drinking some Hennessy today, and I hope that you learn some really good stuff. So Akiem, I appreciate you coming on the platform, bro.
Oh man, appreciate
yes, sir,
you,
man. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you from, and what brings you here, man.
Yeah. So I'm Akiem Jones. I'm the Chief Financial Advisor at the Solutions Group. That's our Instagram tag D Solutions Group. Really, we just giving the game about financial literacy, man. We trying to help start the conversation, build wealth generation. I've been in the finance and accounting field for 10 years, man. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm a certified government financial manager. I'm a certified defense financial manager. I got my bachelor's and master's in accounting. And I'm really just out here trying to give people the game, trying to get people to understand what economic empowerment truly means and the opportunity that it can give to you. So that's just more about me, but let's talk this finance talk.
Nah, man, no, he really needs no introduction. I hope y'all will take something from this. Point blank period, man. So just to start off, like, financial literacy to you at this point.
Yeah.
Starting a conversation is your tagline, and I like that a lot, especially within our community. Yeah. It doesn't mean be an expert, but it means start a conversation. So, what is the where does the conversation start for you around financial literacy?
Yeah, I think it's understanding the opportunities. So for me, basic definition of financial literacy just means being able to read money. So people are literate, so word literate. You can read books, but can you read money, right? So if I came to you and said, let me get your personal financial statement, I can read your life, right? I can say, boom, you go to the ABC store every Friday, so I know you drinking, right? I see $200, $300 coming out your pocket, you don't know where it went. So I know you're not budgeting for your fun money or your entertainment money. So financial literacy means being able to read money. You know how to make the dollars and cents make actual sense. And then from like a empowerment standpoint, financial literacy just means giving you the opportunities to be able to move the way you want to move. Whether you understand it or not, where you work, where you live, what you eat, what you drive, who you hang out with, a lot of things depend on your financial situation. So if you live in an area that doesn't have quality produce, doesn't have quality food, that's usually directly tied to what people are paying in their property taxes, because the property taxes are funding the community around you. If you're taking your kid to daycare, you're probably taking your kid to daycare because you can't stay home with that kid during that time. So whether you understand it or not, your financial situation has a lot to do with the opportunities that you see and the flexibility that you have in your life.
Wow, okay. It's pervasive. It spreads throughout everything. I like what you said. You broke it down to being able to read. We're going to talk a little bit about a budget, because most people can understand what a budget is. What you have coming in, what you have going out. That's not expert level understanding of finances. But what you just said, man, is finances is empowering because it touches every area of life.
Bro.
You just said daycare to food to property taxes, like
everything, bro.
So that's the empowerment side of it. It's not just about your personal. It's more about community.
It's literally everything. So break it down like this. What other subject do you deal with every single day of your life but you didn't learn about in school? Most people don't learn about in school. You learn about rocks. You learn about the earth, the space, water. You learn about everything, dog. But you didn't learn about finance. And you're making a financial decision every day, putting gas in your car, what you're going to eat, what you're spending money on. Everything, bro, has a financial connection.
Wow. And in the work that you do, both as a CFA and in your 9-to-5, what are you doing? You're breaking down the finances of companies and people, so you're seeing it from both sides.
Okay. Yeah, so 9 to 5, I'm breaking down the way the government spends money. So the government is spending billions, trillions of dollars, right? And I'm making sure that what we said we want as taxpayers, the government is actually spending. So I'm seeing billions of dollars every year and breaking it down like, all right, you said you spent 100 million on this. Let me see the contract for this 100 million. Let me make sure that you actually spent it on what the taxpayers say you're supposed to spend it on. Okay. And on the personal side of my business, I'm looking at how are you saving towards wealth? What's your business doing? So business comes with numbers, and financial literacy is reading numbers, right? So if you have a trucking business, but you're spending crazy amounts of money on advertising and you're not seeing a return on your investment from that advertising, I can read your balance sheet and say, we got to cut this advertising out, bro. Like, it's not giving you any growth for your business. It's not giving you any return. So that's kind of how it breaks down in both sides of the coin.
Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah. The word audit itself is, what does audit mean? That means to rectify, to make sure people are saying what they do?
Yeah. It's just making sure that what you say you spent or what you said you made, you have some backup for it. So if I say I bought a camera this year to post videos on Instagram or social media, and I took that as a business deduction, if somebody audits me, they just need to see my receipt for the camera, right? So audit is just making sure what you say you made or spent matches up to the documents that prove you made or spent it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy you hit that point, because it's important at all areas, at all times, to have a track record of what you're doing, have your paperwork, especially during these times. It's summer 2020. We're in a very volatile environment where a lot of money is being handed out. There's different loans, there's different grants, and it's a great thing for some people if you're recipients of this money, but having a track record is probably more important than ever right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And another thing you said, you mentioned the trucking business. I'm not about to talk about trucking, but when you're someone that understands financial literacy, what do you think you're able to identify as problems? One of my professors from a strategy class, my MBA last semester, he talked about the difference between problems and issues. So a company might come to Akiem, or somebody might come to me and say, hey, Trevor, I have a problem with saving. And that might be a problem, but really it's probably an issue.
Yeah.
An issue stems from a problem. So your problem might be you don't have a budget. Your problem might be you don't know financial literacy. Yeah. And the issue that stems from that is you're spending too much or you're not saving enough. So you got to take a step back and realize that you have issues or do you have problems. You need to focus on your problems, because issues will never go away until you until you eliminate those problems. You agree?
Yeah, that's dope, because everything stems from something else. So usually people will say, I don't have enough money to save, or I don't have enough money to invest. But that's not really what the problem is. The problem is that, one, you don't, like you said, you don't have a budget, or you're eating out too much, or you're doing this, that, and the third, and you're not making your savings or investing your priority. And when we get into the budget conversation, that's all a budget is making your priorities. So if you say saving, investing, and family security is your priority, when I look at your budget, I got to see saving, investing, family security out of your budget. That's where your money's going. Your money's not going to McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell. It's priorities.
Can't put Taco Bell over your family.
Can't put Taco Bell over your family, bro.
It happens sometimes, and that's the purpose of starting the conversation and getting the track record. So that's key, and I like that you said identify your priorities, because Akeem's priorities versus my priorities versus another person's priorities can be different.
Preach.
And that's not what we're here to set in place for you. We're not life advisors or anything. Akeem is credentialed, he's qualified, this is his line of work. He can give you advice all day, but you got to take a step back and realize what are your own priorities. Yep. If you think eating out is more important than saving for an upcoming business venture or a house or something, well, that's your priority, and you can adjust accordingly. But you have to literally write down what your priorities are. Yep. Okay. So your shirt. I want to start with your shirt too, because your shirt caught a lot of popularity. It's a simple, clean message, and I want to break down your shirt a little bit. So, so your shirt, if you can't, he's wearing it as well. I have one. Let me make sure I'm holding this up right.
There it is.
There it is. So I'm gonna read these out, then we're gonna break them down a little bit.
Yep.
We got hustle, save, invest, reinvest, create a legacy, build a community.
Yep.
So let's start with the hustle aspect. Can anybody hustle, or what does the hustle look like to you?
Yeah, hustle is just, bro, nothing's gonna be given. Everything has to be earned. Everything has to be worked for. There's no easy way. There's no shortcuts. There's no get rich quick, or at least that I know, right? So anything that you learn, you gotta apply. So like this conversation that we're having, if you don't apply it, if you don't take action, if you don't set up the priorities in your budget, it's not gonna mean anything. So you gotta hustle. If you got an income problem and you got one job, you gotta get two jobs, right? You gotta get a job and a business. If you got a spending problem, you gotta sacrifice. You gotta cut out spending. You gotta set your priorities. So hustle is really, you gotta put the work in up front, and that's why it's number one. Because without putting in the work, nothing else happens. There's no easy way. Everything works. You just gotta work it.
Okay. So hustle is number one. I'm gonna take a little drink to that.
Yeah, facts.
Hustle is number one. One thing that we like to speak about is, in today's time, some people, I'm not gonna say all people, try to downplay the importance of a 9 to 5, or say, you should only be an entrepreneur, whatever. When I look at hustle, you can hustle within your workplace. Hustle might look like you doing what's necessary to get an income raise and to get a pay increase.
Right.
It might be, all right, I know I can't get a pay increase right now, but I gotta go start this side business. 4 or 5 years ago, I had a business venture. It was simply cutting lawns. I tried to build it out a bit. I called Akiem and said, hey, can I do this from a tax standpoint, from a 1099, contractual employees? Not to dig into the details, but this was after getting a college degree. That following summer, cutting lawns, me and my friends did $15,000 in revenue. So that is my personal testimony of, when you know you have a goal in mind, you got to buckle down and hustle. Build your 9 to 5, take your certifications. You just dropped, how many certs you got?
Three certs. Yeah.
Three certs,
2 degrees. Yeah.
3 certs, 2 degrees in the business accounting world. I have 3 certs in the IT world, and just went back and got a 2nd degree. So, that's a form of hustle. And in today's time, there's plenty of ways to hustle. You don't have to go back and get degrees or even certifications like we did. You can go on YouTube. You can read, but you got to start with hustle. So next, let's break down, what is saving, and why do people have such a hard time saving?
Yeah, so saving, for me, I break it down in, you're going to work every day, right? And you're going to work for a reason. A lot of people, whether we realize it or not, are going to work to pay Wells Fargo, to pay Fannie Mae, to pay Navient, to pay USAA, to pay Toyota, to pay BMW. So you can't just go to work, hustle hard to pay everybody else. You got to put some money aside for you. So having a 9 to 5 isn't the problem. And like you said, I think a lot of people down 9 to 5s, but the 9 to 5 isn't the problem. It's the dependency on the 9 to 5 that's the problem. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you can't leave the 9 to 5 because you have zero savings, if you get fired or laid off, or you want to leave because you don't like the job anymore and you can't because you're stuck there because you have no money in the bank, that's what the problem is. So save just means you got to save for rainy days, number one, and you got to save for opportunities, number two. The rich get richer because they have the opportunity, or they have the savings to capitalize on opportunity when things get bad. When the stock market busts and everything is at a discount, the wealthy have the money to go put money into it in a discount because they've saved. So you got to save for opportunities, you got to save for your security.
That's real. That's saving component. About that, some people feel like they don't make enough money, and that takes you back to step one of his t-shirt. It's all outlined. That goes back to hustling. Yeah. Hustling allows you to save more money, and I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Yeah, some people might make high 6 figures. Some people might not make that much money. But one thing I do realize within my circle and people I observe is most people have some type of flexibility to save. Yeah. And when we say save, we're not putting a dollar amount and saying go save $1,000 a month. That might look like $10 a month, but it's more about creating the habits than it is a dollar amount. And when you can kind of wrap your head around that and say, okay, well, it's not that easy for me. Well, it may not be easy, but if you can create those habits, when you do go get that, when that job increase does happen, because it's going to happen for you. When your business gets off the ground and hustle, you've already created those habits of saving. So now you're already 10 steps ahead of the rest, 10 steps further than the rest of America that doesn't even have that mindset from just saving up some money. And we also, on a previous episode, talked about staying at home. If you're in a demographic where you're about to graduate college, if you can, save money. Shack up with some friends, shack up with some buddies, stay home and save your money so that you can go into the third step, and that's invest. So what does investment mean to you?
Yeah, investing means you gotta put money in things to get money back, right? So you can't be financially free until you have some passive income paying you. And to give you an example, say you're an NBA player, you're an NFL player, say you're Hammer, you're MC Hammer, right? And you make a lot of money, but you also spend a lot of money. You got a private jet, you got the chef, you got the mansion, etc., etc. If you make $1 million a year and you spend $1 million a year, then for me, you broke, right?
Yeah.
You live in paycheck to paycheck. If you stop dribbling the ball, you stop throwing the basketball, you stop going to the desk, then your income stops. So invest means you have to find assets to invest in that are going to pay you a return back. So you got to find stocks that are going to pay you a dividend. You got to find real estate that's going to pay you a return on your money. You got to find land. You got to find a business. You got to make your money work for you. A lot of people trade time for money. But you got to trade money for money. That's what the wealthy do. When you're trading time for money, you're going to work to get money back. So your time dictates how much income you're making. But when you are trading money for money, you can send your money out there, let the money work, and you can go do whatever you want to do. So for me, investing means you gotta make your money work for you.
Gotta make it work for you. One thing I like about investing is it's a large scope. And I saw you say something the other day about finding your strategy. You don't have to be an expert at everything, but when you talk about investments, like he just broke it down, so I don't need to do that. But my point is, you can say, I'm going to invest in a friend's business. I'm going to invest in the stock market. I'm not ready to buy a home, but maybe I'll find a way to invest into this fix and flip and let somebody else guide the process. So there's many ways to invest your money. You got to figure out what avenues are most attractive, most important to you, and then let it go from there. And the other thing I like about investment, so first you got options, just a lot of options about getting a return on your investment. And if your money's just sitting in a savings account, getting 0.01 or point whatever the interest rate is. Point crazy. It's gonna take like 72 years for your money to double just sitting into your normal savings account. So you have options, just invest it. That's all we're saying. The other thing I like about investments is it's like off limits. So he talks about like celebrities, entertainers, these people that have really high income, make that money off limits to people. Even as normal guys, I'm sure Akiem has lent money to people or has looked out for family or friends. Especially in our communities, we are more prone to have to loan people money. But you have to have a certain level of selfishness and say, my investments are off limits. Yo, you got it? Man, if I got it, I got to pull it out of the stocks, or it's tied up in some real estate right now, or it's tied up in my friend's business and he's throwing a party next week and we're going to flip that money. So it's much easier to explain yourself as far as not having to touch your money when it's tied up into something that's going to come back 2, 3, 4 times fold. So, okay, so you broke down investments. Reinvest. Is that pretty just straightforward? Reinvest?
Reinvest. I think it's straightforward, but not so much. So nothing's easy, right? Nothing comes overnight. So you invest money, but you got to reinvest. If you invest $100 in Apple today and they got a 5% dividend, what's that going to give you, right? You got to continue $100 this week, next week, the week after that, and that this year, next year, the year after that. You can't get one real estate investment and expect to be done, right? You got to go get one, learn from that, go get another, You got to invest in yourself. So you start a business. You can't just start a business and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just make money from this. You got to start a business, then you got to get the camera, then you got to get the inventory, then maybe you got to get the people. So it's a continuous process that you not only invest your money, but you continue to reinvest your money until you don't need to invest any more money to be financially free.
because then it's rolling. I know the snowball method. That's people associate it with a debt method, which it is. It's a popular debt method. But when you were just explaining it to reinvest, I'm thinking a snowball is like you're gaining momentum.
Yep.
You get that first deal, you get that first investment. Keep putting that money back in. If it's good to you, why take it out?
Yep.
So and after a while, that snowball gets so big. What else really needs to be done? It's a rolling beast at that point.
Right.
All right, so we hustle. So we got some money in our pockets. We saved that money up. We invested it into our friend's business, into the stocks, into real estate. We invested that money somewhere.
Yep.
We loved that investment. We reinvested. How do you create a legacy?
Create a legacy. You got to create something you can pass down to your kids, something that benefits your family and the people around you, right? So if I create a business and I got products, so I got these shirts, trademark the shirts so nobody else can take them. I'm continuing to sell shirts. Maybe my son becomes of age and I'm like, all right, boom, you take over the business. Now he's selling the shirts and he's making the money back. That's ours, right? You got a book or something like that. You make the book, you sell the book, that's your book, you own it. So you're creating the legacy through the things that you're having, the money you're bringing in. And it's also, you got to, I always think of it. I want to be the uncle that everybody's like, yo, Uncle Akiem, like he got it. We gonna go to his crib. We gonna have some fun. He always got the big parties. He got the cookouts because that's my priority, right? You got to do the things that you want to do. What brings value to your life. So for me, I like to get people together and have a good time, especially my family. So if I can be the person that's bringing everybody together to have the big family cookout with giveaways and food and drinks and all that stuff, for me, that's building my legacy. And you just got to have stuff to pass down to your kids. So we just bought a single family home in Norfolk, and the whole reason we bought this home is because we just had a son, and we said, all right, in 15, 20 years, we're going to have $200,000 in equity in this house. When our son turns 18, he can look at that $200,000 in equity and say, all right, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to reinvest it? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to, whatever he wants to do with it, he can do with it. So that's how you create a legacy. You create things to pass down and things that people are going to remember you by.
That's dope. That's dope. Somebody's counting on you to be rich. Like
Facts.
Point blank period.
Facts.
Myself, Akiem, people within our network can simply say this job is good enough. We're confident that the bills will be paid, that we'll be okay. Because it can be stressful. I'm sure you're stressed at times in everything that you're doing.
Bro, it's a never-ending cycle. But you gotta, and that's another. You gotta pick something you like. Money can't be the motive.
Nah.
Value has to be the motive. What you want to do with money has to be the motive. Money isn't the end. It's absolutely the means to an end. I don't want to make money so I can have money. I want to make money so I can give things to my kids, so I have opportunities, so I have flexibility, so I'm well taken care of. So money has to be. It can't be the end. It has to be a means to an end.
Nah, for sure. You always hear the term like, "Who wants to die rich?"
Right.
And
right. Facts.
It's all perspective. If you die rich, if you penny pinched your whole life and didn't do anything with your money, you only saved it, you didn't invest it, reinvest it, create a legacy, put it into your community, then it's just a dollar amount. It's you opening up an account and oh yeah, $5 million.
Right. That look good.
Yeah, I got 5 million pieces of paper. That's a bet.
Facts.
And so it's like I get it, but within certain communities, no. If you have the means, the capability, especially in today's time, it is, I'm gonna say, easier than ever to build something. You have the internet, you have resources. You're one step away or one connection away from figuring it out. You have YouTube, and so you're able to really build and create a legacy. And if you're smart enough, you have the work ethic to build something large or lucrative, then do it, because you probably got a mom, a dad, a grandma, a cousin that's counting on you to be that person. Oh my God, I knew you were bright since the day you were born, and I'm so glad that you maximize your full potential.
Yeah.
Okay, so creating that legacy, being able to pass something down so that people can expand upon it. Building a community, man. I feel like this can be tough.
Yeah.
This can be tough, but it's so necessary, because if you want to get somewhere fast, you go by yourself. You want to go somewhere. If you want to get far, you go together.
Right.
So building a community, what does that look like for you in today's time?
Yeah. So anytime I talk to grade school kids, I say, you want to know why your basketball goal outside ain't got no net on it? Because ain't nobody investing in your community, right? So you got to make sure you can make all the money you want to, but you got to bring it back to the people that mean the most. So for me, building my community isn't even like building the neighborhood around me. Mm-hmm. It's building the people around me, the community around me. Mm-hmm. So if I can help my mans with some videos, if I can help my mans with some advice, if I can help my shorty save some money, if I can help my people with a seminar, that's what you got to do. You gotta give back at some point. So you can't just run the race by yourself. You gotta run the race and then give people the experiences that you've given or that you've learned, and that will exponentially grow what you have as well.
Nah, that's real. That's real. Because you hear it and it's true. I think we have more insight now than ever into celebrities' lives, people with a lot of money, mm-hmm. and we see that they go through the same exact things that humans go through. And my point is, you can have all this money in the world, but if you don't have a community, if you have $1 billion, but all of your friends have 100, how fun is that? Right. Either you're gonna be traveling by yourself, or you're gonna be paying for everybody to travel with you, and that's not sustainable. And that's why you see a lot of, particularly athletes and people that make a lot of money, they end up getting pissed, or they end up just like losing their minds sometimes, because it's like they either weren't able to bring everybody with them, teach them financial literacy, or they end up having to pay for everybody around them. I mean, shoot, I'm about brotherhood, fraternity, my brothers, my sisters. I want to be able to have fun collectively together. Right. And it's really enough. And that's one thing I personally had to take a step back and realize, like, mm-hmm. how much money and opportunity there is in this world. As Americans, I think we kind of lose sight of that.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
It's like there's so much work to be done that there's enough food out there for everybody to eat. Just wrap your head around, there's enough food for everybody to get their business off, to learn. It's gonna take their own hustle, but when you start to build that community and start that conversation, as Akiem always alludes to, then that's really where you start to find power. So
everybody eats, B.
Everybody eats. Everybody eats, man. Everybody eats for sure.
Yeah. Look, I'm a cheers without taking a drink.
Yeah, man. It's only right. It's only right. So let's take a small pivot. Mm-hmm. Debt. I saw you mention something around different types of debt. A brother came to me about a month ago and said, leveraging debt. What does that even mean? Mm-hmm. Why should I take out any debt? Mm-hmm. What is good debt versus bad debt? Productive debt versus unproductive debt?
Yeah. So good debt versus bad debt. So I try to break it down simply. For me, bad debt is consumer debt. That's you borrowing money to buy stuff that isn't going to bring you any value back, but you think it's bringing you value because it makes you feel good, right? So if you are buying food on a credit card, you're going out to eat on a credit card, you are buying clothes on a credit card, you are, whatever you're doing, you're strictly consuming with borrowing money, right? But good debt for me is you are borrowing money to make something in return. All right, so let's break that down. Let's say you buy a car, you buy a BMW, and your car payment's $500 a month. You're just driving the BMW. For me, that's bad debt, right? You're just buying a car because it makes you look or feel nice. If you got the money for it, that's on you. Like we said, we're not trying to tell you what to do. But for me, that's bad debt. Good debt is if you buy that same BMW, your car payment's $500, but you can rent it out for $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So you're making a return on your money. Same for the house. If you get a house you can't afford, that's too expensive for you, and you're just paying your mortgage, for me, that's bad debt. But if you get a house at a good deal and you rent it out and your mortgage is $1,000, your renters pay you $2,000, for me, that's good debt because you're making a return on your money.
Word, okay. Yeah, and it's a lot of ways, and sometimes people will mess up and get unproductive or bad debt, but can find a way to pivot that. I like that you mentioned the car, because it is such a great time to be able to maximize on all of these different platforms. I know people that got into bad car debt and they signed their cars up on like Turo. My business partner mentioned to me a guy who owns a couple Ferraris, but he owns those to rent those out to people who come to Los Angeles.
Thanks.
And he makes $4,000 or $5,000 a month by having his car renting it out. So sometimes, if you made a bad choice, we've all made questionable bad choices when it came to debts. Like, it's okay, but find a way to pivot. Pay it off if you can, but find a way to maybe turn something bad into something good, and definitely just don't hold your head on the decisions that you made in the past.